These are some of my ideas that I've been having. Let's go. Larry the Bird. Talking John the Bacteria. This, which is a really good idea. It's quite long. Probably the best one here, actually. It's a really good idea. Getting a girlfriend. Um, like lava lamp in the shape of a condom with like white wax, you know? It'd be cool. Fear, longing, and disappointments. Really unoriginal, but like two different. Why does this thing keep flashing? Like two different speakers, but one's playing the sounds of the country, and then one's playing the sounds of the city on either side. Fun. I'd like to see how I do that one. Trying to evoke spaces just using lights. So like, how would I make this big white, plain room feel like a dingy back alley just by the lights? Be fun. Opening credits scene where like credits come down, right? And then they stay on screen, um, while the plot starts to happen. And they just stay there, like the last credits just stay there for like they're stuck on, they stay there for an awkwardly long time. And then when the character comes in, he's like, what the heck? And he like has to like push the credits out of the way. I feel like that's probably already been done before, but I thought of that one. So what if we find love in industry? It's a photo series of industrial workplaces like factories and like server banks and whatever. And these very sterile, sort of like gross places. Um, and then inside there's like people like making out, which could be funny. Exploring what it means to be a human. Anyway, in a very hostile, uninspiring place. Hmm, I don't know about that one. I feel like I need to actually make it happen first, because I'm not sure. It could just be look like it could just look like porn, really. So, right, it's like it's a target, for like archery, but it's like really small, okay? And then there's like a normal sized arrow, like right inside of it, which is funny because it's like a tiny little thing with a normal arrow, and like the big plexiglass cases that they have, like the crowns in or whatever, like the arrows like shot through one of them, which is like maybe the big faraway goals are actually really closer to hit, and also maybe they're harder to hit than you thought. But anyway, it's like a tiny target. Oh, and dress up as vampires and pretend to be vampires on a night out. That would be funny. Ask people if they're ticklish as a first impression. Just one of this guy's head getting blown up. Shame about his head, which it is, but he survived in the end. So, like, what? Equestrian, right? It's like, I'm sure this is already a thing. This is just a bad pun, but it's like an online video game. Or like a, Tamagotchi, but it's like a horse on your desktop and you have to like, oh, look here, like, make sure you feed your little desktop horse. And it's called the equestrian. Because like the internet. Okay. Bill Lascar did this one. Shout out my guy. But like having just folly and like nature sounds in the middle of your song. But if I was to do it, I think it'd be much more like stop the song completely. Birds tweeting, rustling in the grass. Heavy techno continues. It'd be cool for like nerds, I suppose. This one's kind of stupid, but it's like a book, and it's a, a photography book called Documentation, and it's just like places where animals or like nature has like come in a little bit. So maybe you have like a little thing under the fence where like a rabbit goes under the fence, or maybe there's like um I don't know, like poo on some like bench, anything like, what was it? Or like a bird on top of a lamppost or something. And the accommodating text would have something to say like, it'd just be a bunch of pictures of like how many how many birds can I find on top of a lamppost, basically. That's pretty lazy by me. But you can do it in a sort of documentary sort of way, and then, what you write about it is like, once again, noticed feral creatures invading perfectly good man-made things, you know, as opposed to technically it's probably the other way around. That's an insight to how man-made my mind has become. Um, Kissing booth, but just for artists. And then they give you a kiss, and then they also tell you that your art is worthwhile and meaningful, which would be great. If anyone wants to start that with me, pop it down in the comments below. Okay, bye.